Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Signal, where we teach you how to win in high stakes, government shaped markets. The question I want to ask today is: does AI truly replace people? Well, it can, but it really is better as an amplifier. So, an amplifier of the work instead of replacing the work of a human. Big tech believes it's all about mass layoffs, though. They want to cut staff, increase margins, see their stocks soar, and it's a great shareholder story. And it works for several companies. Look at Block as an example. They laid off 4,000 people recently. That's 40% of their workforce, and their stock surged. What about Meta? Well, they did 8,000 cuts just last week, and they recorded record profits. So they're literally cutting staff while they're recording record profits just so that they can invest more in AI. Then there's Standard Charter, who cut out the lower value human capital and were very surprised to see the results. But what's consistent across all these stories is that the big tech companies believe that this is the best way to improve their margins in the short-term process. Whether that affects their long-term growth and health as a company or not, that's another story. But what's true in tech isn't always true in other industries. There's a lot of companies out there that have thousands of employees or hundreds of employees, and they need all of them on the ground. They need them on the job site. They need them working in the fields. And so you can't really do a mass layoff and expect that same level of profitability. But what you can do in a high stakes industry, so these are the ones that we cover here at the Signal, they really can't afford to reduce staff. The question remains, though, and owners ask me this all the time, is if I'm going to amplify what we're doing as humans, how do we do it without breaking what works? So we went to the lab and we went to find out. And we came across three very interesting use cases where you can leverage the power of AI, automation, and technology to help people in the field. So people that actually are working in the real world with their hands, okay? Number one is in the flood mitigation industry. We built an agent that is a sort of live property assessment tool that gives the field agents, whether they're flood experts or project managers or anybody who may have some understanding of flood mitigation as a concept, but they're not really like the experts. So they might have some level of experience with flood mitigation or assessing flood risk, but they're not what you would call the experts themselves. This agent actually speaks to them through just their regular phone on things like WhatsApp or Slack, that kind of thing. And what it does is it allows them to walk around the property, assess the flood risk, assess openings, the grades of the ground, and just to understand where the water is coming from. And it's a very simple and straightforward process, but it allows the field agent to properly assess the property, record everything that's going on the property, and goes directly into their CRM. And it also sends double posts to their partner, who is a flood mitigation, flood assessment company. And so it allows them all in a very, very simple and straightforward approach to get information to the right people really fast. What's cool about it, though, is that because we're leveraging automation style texting, so it's really deterministic, it makes sense, and it's really something that everybody knows how to do, and they have it on their mobile phone. So that's a good thing. Another thing that's most important about it is that because it's AI, it's not just a simple templated message approach. If there's some nuances or something different that's going on that job site, they can get information right there from the agent and get guidance on how to properly assess the property. So that's number one. Number two, a colleague at a mining company, he's the head of operations. So what he does is he goes around and he helps make operations smoother for everybody across the whole company. And he likes to really be in the field. He could have had a desk job working from spreadsheets and all that, but he likes to be in the field and operating and talking to the real people that are doing the work every day. And he takes more of a customer service approach to it. So if you think about it, there's a lot of people that are in the operation styles roles that what they view their role as kind of like a police or some type of enforcement of the rules. And that could be from safety, operations, building codes, all this stuff. And they really focus on the policing. Now, this ops manager takes a little bit of a different approach. As I mentioned before, he likes to be service oriented, and he has these 4 questions for every single thing that he wants to implement on any job site. Is what I'm doing making things easier? Is it making it faster? Is it making them safer on the job? Or is it making them better? If any one of those 4 things is a yes, then you're doing something that is positive. If not, well, really, you're just implementing more problems. Okay. And so when they go to adopt AI technology to do something similar to the flood intake agent that I just mentioned, they're going to be looking at how can I make this tool super effective and to assist on one or all four of those specific questions that we mentioned. Now, the third one is, what about sales teams? I'm sure you're aware, if you're in sales yourself or you have a sales team, you know that AI has gonna run rampant and it's going through sales teams like crazy for anything from account research to persona messaging and guidance and account enrichment. There's so many things that AI is doing right now to amplify the work. But what's interesting is when people use it for messaging, they run into a bit of trouble, because I can tell you, I can spot an AI personalized email from a mile away. It is slightly better than the old approach of just using mail merge and custom fields, but it's still very obvious they're taking what we call personalization or fake personalization and trying to make a personal connection with me based on something that's on my profile somewhere. Now, the biggest problem with that, there's two problems that I've identified with that type of personalization. Number one, a lot of the data people find on me is old. I've had a lot of different companies, a lot of different investments. I've had a lot of different things going on in my world. And so my online profile is full of a lot of different things. So when they talk about my M&A business that I haven't been operating for 2 years, guess what? That is completely useless information. Or if they see, because I have a 604 area code, they think I'm in Vancouver, but I actually live in Kelowna. So them talking about the Canucks or, different things that they might associate with me there, it doesn't mean anything. So that's just on the personalization approach right there. The data is very difficult to find and track and really trust. The second and most important thing is that when you're using AI for messaging and you're using frameworks and templates for messaging, what happens is you end up starting to sound like the mean. So instead of you being, if you think about the company when you started it and you had this fresh perspective, you were doing something different that made an impact in the market that nobody else does. You're saying things differently, you're doing things differently, you're pricing things different. You're making a splash in the market from being unique and being on the edge. Now, when you take AI messaging and you just rely on it solely without any type of human interaction with it, then what's happening is that all it does is it makes everything kind of cut to the mean, cut to the middle. So it makes everything kind of sound the same. If you really want to stand out, you can use AI for messaging and get frameworks and structures and ideas. Like, I personally use it as brainstorming. I use it as my editor that allows me to check what I'm saying so that it actually makes sense and it gets the point across. I've even created this very in-depth scoring system for my outbound emails, a 100-point scale that really identifies, is this an email that's going to be effective for somebody? And it also allows me to get exactly what they think about that email. So that's really cool. And it's a great way to use AI, but is it using it to actually replace me as the copywriter? No. Is it replacing me as the researcher who's understanding what's important to that person? No. So there's no automation here. There's minimal automation. It's really all about amplifying what I'm doing. So with that in mind, you get some ideas of how we can amplify without breaking what works. The thing that kind of runs my entire process around these things is I have a 3-question test. So this is a test. So remember what I mentioned with the 4 questions about the mining operations manager? Well, I have something very similar for whether a system should be deployed at a client company. So these 3 questions I ask before every single deployment. Number 1, can it deliver without staff reduction in 12 months? So if I implement a new system like an AI messaging tool or the flood intake agent, can it amplify? Can it get better value without having to cut staff? Can I do that? Number 2, are the people that are most affected, are they the ones carrying the institutional knowledge? If I'm thinking about staff reduction at all, are the people then cutting part of the core makeup of the company? And is it going to hurt to lose them? The third thing is, have you measured the team experience as carefully as financials? So when you're looking on a spreadsheet and a balance sheet and you're looking at the employees, payroll, salaries, benefits, all those things, it's really easy to look at them as a number on a page. But what about the collective experience? If you had to put a dollar amount on the experience those 20-year vets have, the 15-year, 10-year, if you could put a dollar amount, what would it be on that balance sheet? And what would you be losing if you got rid of it for nothing? So you take those 3 tests, and if you think about any deployment, any type of technology, like one of the 3 examples that I showed with you today, ask yourself those 3 questions. Can it deliver without reducing staff in 12 months? Are the people affected the ones carrying the institutional knowledge that's really important? And have you measured the team experience as carefully as those on the balance sheet? If you can say yes to all three of those things, then you've got yourself a really good case for a deployment. So that is one of the 7 critical decisions found in the book that we launched last week. And if you haven't got your pre-published copy, let me know, send me an email, DM, what have you, click the link at the bottom of the page here, and you will get your pre-published copy. Other than that, enjoy yourself and have a great day.